And begin when you're ready.
So it's a cool and drizzly London summer's day, and I'm sitting at my desk, my computer, and I Google a world map, and I draw a straight line. Well, it's not quite a straight line because I go to Istanbul first, but then I draw a straight line from London to Sydney, and I'm plotting out 5 sunny stops on my way back home. I am going to go to Istanbul on my bucket list, always wanted to go. I'm going to go to Abu Dhabi, best airport in the world. I am going to go to Ahmedabad in India, going to meet a friend of a friend. I'm going to go then to Bangkok, eat amazing fruit, and then I'm going to Vietnam for a week for a rest. And yeah, you know, I'm all geared up. I join a Facebook group, solo women travellers, women over 50, travelling solo and loving it. And I'm ready. I am a Jewish Buddhist woman. I've been teaching Muslims in the local community for years. I even married a half Muslim illegal immigrant for love, not money. I'm modern, I'm liberated, I'm right on, you know. So tell me, why am I so terrified of Arab men in traditional dress? You know, the white flowing robes, the scarves, the snake-like robe. I'm terrified. Am I racist? What is it? Anyway, I head off on my, I get ready to head off on my adventure. I've 6 weeks before I'm going to go, but quite a few things go wrong. I break my tooth and I can hardly speak or eat. I pull a muscle in my back, I can hardly walk, and then I get COVID. And also, I do all these crazy things. I book my flights to all those places, but I only book cabin baggage, 7.5 kilos. And it's like, okay, don't panic. You can sort this. So I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get trousers and a top with big pockets, and I'm going to put all my heavy stuff. I'm going to wear lots of pairs of underpants and 2 t-shirts. I'm going to take it all on the plane with me. I've got it sorted. So I order these pants online with big pockets, and they arrive, and I try them on, and I try it out, put my heavy things into the pockets, and put stuff in, and but then I realise I'm going to really sunny places, and these are like heavy cotton. I think, it's not going to work. So I send them back, package them up, send them back to China with my British passport in the pocket. Yeah, so then, okay, and don't panic. Okay, you know what? I'll travel on my Australian passport. Okay, a few visa, I'm not going to get a visa here, I'm going to have to pay for a visa here, but I'm with my Australian passport. So I head off and I go to Istanbul, which is great, although I do feel a bit shivery every time I hear the call to prayer, which is 5 times a day, and for some reason I'm scared to tell people I'm Jewish. Anyway, I leave Istanbul and I head to Abu Dhabi. I've booked a premium lounge. I go to the premium lounge. I'm going to charge my phone. I'm going to have a meal. I'm going to have a shower. And I get there. I hand my passport over, and he says, "Oh, sorry, there's a problem. We don't have an onboard boarding pass for you. You'll need to go to the back to the Etihad counter." So I'm pretty confident it's all okay. I head to the Etihad counter, and there's 3 Muslim guys sitting there, and then there's a woman in a hijab at the end of the counter, and I present my passport, and the guy just looks at me and says, "Well, your onward flight's been cancelled." He said, you're only travelling with us to Ahmedabad, and you're leaving with someone else, so we can't give you a transit visa. And I need a transit visa because problems with the passport. I ended up that I was going to have to stay in the airport in Ahmedabad. So he says, "Look, no changes, no refund. no apology, and he's smiling. And I'm like, my mind's blank, I'm fuzzy. It's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I walk over to there's a seating area, waiting area, it's completely empty. And I sit down, and I'm surrounded by glass. There's a lot of glass in that airport, and I know this sounds really strange, but when I was 1 year old, I was in an isolation ward. I almost died, and I was put in an isolation ward, and there was a wall of glass. And I've got this memory, this feeling that I've always lived my life as if behind a wall of glass. And I'm sitting there, and I remember the last time I talked about that memory, and it was on a Buddhist retreat, and the kindest man, this kind man, after I'd said it at breakfast, he just sat there, and as he left, he looked at me with the most tender expression and just touched his heart. And and I remembered that. And then I started to feel really upset. And I went back to the counter, and I was upset. I was actually angry. And I made a scene. I'm like, I talked to the guy, and I said, where's your customer service? I'm never flying Etihad again. Why aren't you helping me? And why are you smiling? Anyway, the customer service woman comes over. She's wearing a hijab, and she says, "Here, take my phone. Call your travel agent." I don't have a travel agent. I booked through some online company, Kiwi.com, to get all my multi-stops. So anyway, I call Kiwi.com. I go back to the waiting area, I call them, this person to that person to the other, and final upshot is, sorry, we can't help you. It's a visa problem, not our problem, your problem. So I go back, I hand the phone back, I think, okay, I go through customs, go to arrivals, but there's nobody holding a welcome sign saying, "Welcome, Anna Robinson." I'm just like, what do I do? So I think, okay, call my travel insurance. I look at my phone, 8%. I see a Vodafone booth. I go over to the Vodafone booth. This lovely Filipino man lends me his personal phone with his personal minutes. An hour on the phone to my travel insurance, shunted one person to the next, an hour on the phone. Upshot is, sorry, can't help you, visa problem, your problem. So I walk out of the booth and I start crying. My face is wet. I'm walking into arrivals. The customer service manager, young man, comes over and says, "What's wrong?" I tell him, and he says, "Listen, cut your losses, download one of these, mytrip.com or whatever, that's the one he recommends, and just go straight to Bangkok, just cut your losses." So I think, okay, that's what I'm going to do. 5% left on my phone. I Google, I download the app, I actually find a flight, not too expensive, and I think, okay, I'm going to pay for my flight, 3%. I think, okay, I've got to charge my phone. So I see that there's a desk, and I wander over, it's the transport desk, and I can see there's a few charges in the wall, and it's 5 men, Arabic men wearing traditional Arabic dress. 5 men, and I go over and I say, "Oh, look, do you have a charger that I can use?" And immediately one of them goes and takes it from the wall. And I get the charger, there are these tall columns with and the plugs are right at the bottom, and I sit on the floor, and I plug my charger in, and I go to pay for my flight, and it says, error message, no funds available.
No.
There are! And I try a second card, error message, no funds available. I look up, and coming towards me is a man. And this man, he's looking at me with an expression of pure kindness, of pure compassion. And as he passes me, he touches his heart.
Oh.
And this man is wearing a traditional Arabic dress, a white flowing robe, a white scarf, and the coils. And I'm crying. I start crying again. But this time it's out of gratitude, because I feel this man's kindness and I feel connected. I no longer feel isolated. And I'm crying, and there's this seismic shift inside me. Something just melts away. Our common humanity, the kindness of this man. Anyway, I've booked my flight. I eventually go through, I go through departures, and I get on the flight, and first I've got to go to Bahrain, so it's an hour to Bahrain. I get a really good seat on the plane. I go to Bahrain. Actually, before I get on the flight, I do post on Facebook to my friends first, and then to Solo Women in Style. There's 60,000 women on Solo Women in Style, but I don't get 60,000 likes, but I get hundreds and hundreds and comments and support, and then arguments between people about visas. I get to Bahrain, it's late at night, I can't afford a hotel, I've already spent $400. But there are these big big airport lounges, very comfortable. And I just set myself up, I've got my iPads and my earbuds, and I set myself up on this couch, and I am surrounded by Arabic men in traditional dress. And some women as well who are a bit more modest sitting up, but I don't feel scared anymore. I feel connected. I feel safe. So, I never would have chosen this bumpy, stormy, difficult, expensive trip from London back to Sydney. But now that I've lived it, I would never give it up.
Oh, wow. That was fantastic. Oh, man. Not a note, not a...
I know.
Nothing to... No cheat notes, no nothing.
Very